Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Hello, everybody. It's Tuesday night. It's 7 o'clock, and we are live. Welcome to V-Talks. I'm your host, Veronica Brockwell, and it is a lovely Tuesday evening, and I'm so excited to be doing the show tonight. We have our licensed social worker, Andrew Aaron. Most of you know that he is a relationship therapist, and I'm so grateful that he is on the show every month, helping us work through all of our relationship issues. But one of the things I learned about him recently is that he's very spiritual, and he has been meditating for over 35 years, and he's been leading a guided meditation group for over 15 years. And it's a topic that he's very passionate about. And it's also a tool that he uses quite often in his therapy sessions. So we decided that we're going to talk about spirituality and meditation. And I have a lot of questions, as I'm sure many of you do. So I'm going to bring Andrew on, and we are going to talk about meditation and spirituality. Hello.
Hi, Veronica.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here with you.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're here. You're such a huge help to our audience and to me. So I'm grateful for you. And I'm excited about this topic because, as we have spoken earlier, I struggle with meditation because I have a little bit of a squirrely brain. So I have so many questions, and I'm sure that I'm going to learn something tonight.
Yeah, I think you and me and a lot of other people have squirrely brains. And as a result, so many of us have attempted meditation and said, yeah, I'm not so good at that, and kind of let go of that aspiration.
Absolutely. So I think what I want to actually talk to you about first is the spirituality aspect of the evening. Like, I want to understand what is spirituality?
Spirituality is an exploration and hopefully an understanding about the deeper nature of our being. It's attempting to understand what's deeper down in this thing called being human, underneath our mind and into the nature of our existence, right? So like if we had a computer, when you use a computer, you have that interface with all the windows and the applications, and you can use the computer, but that doesn't mean that you're aware of any of the coding or programming that's happening behind all the applications and actually behind the operation of the computer itself. And so spirituality is a little bit more like the programming deeper down in the human being underneath our minds.
So I hear people referring to themselves as either spiritual or religious.
Right. Yeah, that's a distinction that, and there's another distinction to be made, and that is mystical.
Oh, why was
Religion refers to human organizations that have been created which codify and order the way to be a good human being, the way to get along with others. It's a series of rules, sometimes laws, that are external in nature that help us to be a good human being or get along well with others. And religions also tend to order our the way that we socially interact. Spirituality is much more internal about our being, our relationship to our own existence, and then the relationship to that which we refer to as a higher power or the divine or God. So one is more external, even though religions often will talk about, of course, prayer and God and the relationship, but spirituality is much more internal. And then mysticism is a practice of exploring the nature of our being with the assumption that if we search within, we eventually come to the awareness of our divine nature. So mysticism assumes that a human being and the divine are none other than one, whereas religion tends to view those as separate.
Well, I have heard that. I feel like sometimes when I say I'm spiritual, I feel like I'm both, you know. Um, so I think, you know, there have been times where I've had conversations when I've said I'm spiritual and I've kind of been looked at funny, and I'm like, but I can be all of those things,
Of
right?
course, of course you
Yeah,
can.
of
You know, these
course.
different words have different meanings to
Yeah,
different people, and depending on the
sure.
word we use, that can find a comfortable home in one person, and another person looks upon that word or that expression as strange or awkward, or maybe even respond judgmentally, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. So there is spirituality, and then there's meditating, which
Hmm.
we're going to be talking about tonight.
Yes, we will.
What is that?
Meditation is a practice. Okay. It's one of the chief practices in spiritual development and spiritual progress. If we wish to deepen our awareness of our own being and explore the nature of our existence, and maybe even attempt to answer some of the bigger life questions, such as why do I exist? What is the purpose of my life? What is my role in the world? Or what is my relationship to life itself? Um, Meditation is a large practice that many spiritual people um, practice on a regular basis to look within and to explore their own nature and existence.
So, what is the difference between meditation and prayer?
Prayer is, it's said that prayer is talking to God, whereas meditation is listening to God. So it's a different state. It's a state of being open and receptive.
I like that. I like that analogy of how that
Yeah,
is because,
it-
yeah, because you're prayer. Because a lot of times when we pray, we're like asking,
that's right.
right? We're
Yeah,
asking for things.
that's right. So
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, it's a very beautiful, beautiful saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a simple concept to grasp, right?
So you've been spiritual and have been practicing meditation for over 35 years.
Mhm.
What is your journey there? You know, why did you start that?
I was always curious about the nature of my life and my existence, and had always had a hunger to learn more and to understand. Also, a sense that there's more to be aware of than what it seems most people are aware of. So I started meditating in my 20s and always sought to learn more. So I did a lot of reading about it and a lot of practicing. And I started very slowly at first, meditating for 5 or 10 minutes at a time. And in the beginning, found it very frustrating, dissatisfying, and very boring. Oftentimes saying, I don't really know why anyone would want to do this. But over time and with practice, it's become a very deep and very satisfying experience.
So, can you take me through when you started meditating? Can you kind of take me through what that was like? So, did you have a book? Did you know? Were you just trying to figure it out on your own? Did you have somebody helping you?
Well, I did read a lot of books,
Mm-hmm.
and I did explore a lot of different world religions because I was
Uh-huh.
very curious,
Uh-huh.
and also spiritual traditions. And there are many spiritual traditions as
Uh-huh.
distinct from world religions, as well as different mystical traditions. And for a while, I meditated with the Zen Buddhists and practiced Zen meditation. There are many different kinds of meditations with different names. I practice a silent meditation. Um, Others will focus on breathing or a mantra, all with the intent to eventually go beyond the mind.
So, is meditating completely clearing your mind?
Yes and no, because I think that those who are curious about meditation and wish to give it a try are often set up with unrealistic expectations just because of that belief you asked about. What are the expectations of meditation? What can I achieve? What's the point of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so many, as I referred to earlier, so many people meditate with an unrealistic expectation that they will be able to just empty their mind, and that should be a relatively easy thing to do. And when they find out that it's nearly impossible to do, then they give up in frustration, often complaining about there not being any point to it or being bad at it, right?
Yeah, I mean that's my experience, when I've tried to meditate because I have so many friends that meditate on a regular basis and they swear by it. And they're like, "Veronica,
Mhm.
you need to meditate because I'm a little bit, hyper." And they're like, "Oh, you should meditate."
Mhm.
And so you just have to empty out your mind and
Not
I'm
so simple.
focused I'm focusing on emptying out my mind and then little things are coming in and I'm like, no, 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 no. And I'm like, this isn't
That's
right. This
normal.
is, yeah,
That's
no,
normal.
I know. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we'll start with 10 seconds, and then do 15 seconds.
That's normal.
Is, okay.
That's normal. And however, meditation, it is an amazing practice for deepening one's self-awareness and for spiritual development. However, it is also, I believe, the most healthy practice that we can bring into our lives. It it improves our clarity, it improves
Mm-hmm,
our self-awareness, it helps us relax, it
mm-hmm,
helps us to have healthy bodies, it helps to improve our immune system, it strengthens our organs, it improves our ability to focus and concentrate. So when we can focus and concentrate, everything that we do, we now do better. It also promotes our growth and our well-being. So as we practice, it enhances our awareness and our maturity, the processing of our emotions and the healing of any old and residual painful emotions or trauma that we've experienced. So it's an incredibly powerful and healthy practice.
So, if somebody wants to start the process of meditating, someone like me that's kind of been frustrated, what is your advice um, to, uh, to start?
Well, I practice a silent meditation, but with my patients, many of whom I recommend start a meditation practice because it's just so healthy, I start by giving them actually a guided meditation on my website, and all the viewers can see my website scrolling underneath our images. On my website, there is a relaxation exercise that's available for download, and
Uh-huh.
it's an audio recording. It's my voice, And my voice sounds really deep because I recorded it in a radio station. And it's a 13-minute guided progressive relaxation where I guide you to relax deeply and go through your entire body and relax every part of your body. And then there's a visualization where you go down some stairs and through a door into a beautiful natural scene. This is actually like a hypnotic induction, and it gets us to a deeply, deeply relaxed state. And then there are some suggestions for good self-esteem and healthy emotions. So this is a way to start. And the reason why I provide this is because those who listen have my voice to focus their mind on, because it can be so hard to still the mind without something to focus on, right? You've experienced that.
Every time. And I would like to do this, and I need some help. And I know I'm not the only one. And, I've talked to a lot of people that have difficulty with it. And, but I know how important it is,
It is. It's very
because
important.
I see the people that do it and how
Yeah.
it's made such an impact on their lives. And I would like to learn, and I'm always wanting to learn new things. So, I just need a teacher.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful. And I'd be honored to teach you. Now, I give
Yeah.
my patients a series of exercises where I gradually introduce them to a silent meditation, but along the way, I give them things to focus on so their mind has something to focus on, and therefore the mind becomes stiller as it has something to focus on. But a silent meditation is very powerful, even though it very slowly and gradually benefits our lives. It really is almost imperceptible how slow. It's a little bit like watching grass grow. The growth that we benefit from by practicing. However, if we do it a bit every day, before long, we start noticing some subtle benefits in what I think is really important changes, such as a little bit of peacefulness, feeling more relaxed, feeling more centered in ourselves, a greater sense of well-being. But also a really, really valuable improvement is greater emotional self-regulation. We're often able to react to situations with greater composure or calmness instead of, which we witness in many people, tremendous and intense upset and intense emotions in reaction to life events. For many people, often results in them being emotionally disabled from responding in an appropriate or effective way, right? And meditation helps people to have greater strength of regulating their own emotions so they have greater control in their lives and can function far more effectively.
Now, you had spoken earlier that you use this in your practice with your patients. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. Of course, I teach meditation to
Yeah.
many of my patients, and I encourage them to develop a practice. However, when we talk about spirituality and we talk about meditation, another important element to this is love. And really, when we meditate, we are doing none other than loving ourselves. And when we are exploring spirituality, we're doing nothing other than loving life and loving our life. And in my practice, which is, as you know, it's a practice of being a relationship therapist, a marriage counselor, and a sex therapist. And I view all those ways that people join and bond as relationships of love. And so, really, I am doing none other than practicing spirituality in encouraging people to be able to love more fully, to be able to be stronger in their capacity to love themselves and love another, to be more open instead of less defended, to be more regulated and calm and peaceful instead of being volatile or being anxious or fearful. So this all amounts to really us loving ourselves. And it is a truth that the more that we love ourselves, and even on many, many levels, because we are multi-layered beings, the more we are capable of loving ourselves directly and proportionately, we are then more capable of loving another. And there's no place where that's more important and more powerful than in our intimate and love relationships, our romantic relationships. So I see spirituality, meditation, and love, as well as sex, as all but different ways of loving, right? So I don't see a distinction between these. And in my own journey, by interacting with my patients, I am actually delivering love. I am supporting them. I am supporting and lifting up their own well-being and their capacity to love. And I'm always encouraging them to love themselves and love life more fully. Right?
It's so curious, and it's so true that loving yourself is what really matters.
That's what
And
matters.
it really does. And it's almost that we're almost raised or, to put ourselves second, you know?
Yeah, especially women.
And it's true,
Yes,
and if you love yourself, it's almost, we're told to love ourselves, but really if you love yourself too much, you're conceited, or
you're selfish.
you're selfish, or
Yeah,
all, and
yeah.
it's just so curious when you said that, because I wasn't, I've always been told to love myself, but when I actually do, I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Well, that's part of the socialization of women. Women are socialized to take care of others, and women tend to be oriented towards the family or the group or the community instead of themselves. And selfishness, actually, especially in religious traditions, is viewed in many ways as the most sinful thing we can do.
Yeah.
But in actuality, that's incorrect. We must love ourselves, but there's a balance to be achieved, and that is love ourselves while we also love life and can love others.
Yes.
If we don't love ourselves,
Yes.
what essentially occurs, Veronica, is we end up draining ourselves of nourishment and we become exhausted, and then truly we're no good to anybody. We also have to be nourished. And when I say loving ourselves, it sounds relatively simple, but as I referred to earlier, we are multi-layered beings. The way I see each one of us as an individual, we are almost like a 20-story building, and each story was created at a certain phase of our life. And when another story was put on top, then that previous layer or floor got frozen in time. And we now live as adults out of the penthouse. That's our conscious mind. But when all these layers contain parts of ourselves that got cast off from the distant past and frozen in time, a lot of our pain is buried on all these different layers. And sometimes life experiences wakes up some of this buried material, and it interferes with our functioning. And in fact, our love relationships often will wake up uh, old memories and old features of our early life, and the pain left over from those layers starts to complicate our personality and sometimes creates depression or causes us to behave in ways that we don't intend. And that's why a lot of love relationships are so challenging and troubled. But when I say love ourselves, what I actually mean is accept ourselves, forgive ourselves for our humanness, because we are human beings, we're not perfect beings, but also clean out and forgive ourselves for all the pain that's stored on all these lower layers in our being that we're often just totally unconscious about. that many people really, they're not even conscious of hating themselves, but they hate
No.
the pain that's buried on much deeper layers. And that's typically why their lives are going in directions that they don't want, that they don't understand why certain things are happening in their lives, usually negative or painful things, or why they are not able to create in their lives what they intend, or why in their marriage or their romantic relationships, why they love their partner, but they are not effective at causing their partner to feel loved by them, right?
And I would imagine when you're dealing with couples and you're trying to introduce this, you might have one party that is very much on board and then maybe another one that isn't. How does that work?
Oh,
Does
all the
that
time.
happen?
Oh,
Yeah,
all the
I know.
time.
I didn't want to say that, but I'm like, what
Well,
do you do?
a,
How does that work?
a partner
Yeah.
will arrive in my office as part of a couple with resistance or with fear or defensiveness. And it's my job to understand why they feel that way. What is the purpose for them of their fear or defensiveness or hesitancy to open up or to address some of the painful limitations that they're suffering from in their life? And sometimes I'm successful. Sometimes they then soften and open up. But oftentimes, what they realize is when they witness that I can guide the partner that they're with to understand them better and to understand why they are defensive or why they're hesitant or why they're fearful, and they really feel understood in it, typically they will then start to open up. Because understanding, I'll tell you, it's a powerful form of love, right? When we're really understood, when someone says, you are important enough that I am going to give you my full undivided attention and I'm really going to listen and understand you, that's very nourishing and very loving.
Wow. I love listening to this because it's something that I feel, as I said earlier, that is so important for people to practice.
It is.
And I we hadn't discussed this before, but like, could we maybe try it for a minute? Just like
Try meditation.
meditation. I don't know. Why not?
Sure,
Can we? Can
for
you?
a
I
minute.
don't know. Just
I,
like
I
quickly.
can guide you
Yeah, a
for a
little bit.
minute into
One
a
minute.
short meditation. Sure.
Okay.
So you might want to close your eyes, right? And
Is that what I'm gonna do? I
that's
know.
what you're going to do.
I just threw this on you.
That's okay.
I just thought it'd be fun. Let's try it.
Close your eyes for a moment, and
Okay.
all the viewers can close your eyes for a moment.
Okay.
And as you do that, just become centered in yourself. And being centered, just notice the weight of your body sitting on the chair or wherever you happen to be resting. And feel in your chest, feel your heart beating. And notice as your heart beating that you're also breathing. And as you breathe, inhale and feel the air entering your nostrils and filling up your lungs. And allow your lungs to fill up and then hold it just for a moment and then start to exhale. And as you exhale, feel the air exiting your nostrils and let your entire body relax. As you do this, just become aware of your entire body. Take a little journey around your body. You might start at your feet and feel your feet resting on the floor or feel your feet in your shoes, and take a little journey up your ankles and feel your shins and feel the calf muscles. And as you do this, notice if there's any tension or tightness or any other sensations in those muscles or in your shins. And if there is, take note of it. You can apply a name to it. Maybe it's hot, or maybe it's cool or tight or loose. Take note of it, feel it, do not attempt to change it in any way. Move up to your knees and feel your knees, and feel your thigh muscles and your hamstrings, and move onto your buttocks and your lower back and your hips. And feel the space that your hips are taking up, and notice how your body, the weight of your body on your hips as you sit in your chair or wherever you happen to be standing. And then feel your lower back as you journey up your spine, and feel all the sensations in your upper back and up into your shoulders. And notice if in your shoulders there's any tension or any tightness or any discomfort. And feel your shoulders as your shoulders extend to your arms, and your upper arms and your biceps and your triceps and then your elbows. And feel your forearms all the way down into your wrists and your hands. And also focus then on your stomach, and notice if your stomach is affected by your breathing as you inhale and as you exhale. And feel your chest as your chest rises and falls with your inhale and exhale. And feel your neck and how your shoulders meet your neck and the back of your neck. And notice there if there are any sensations, any tightness, any pain, any softness or comfort. These are all okay sensations. Anything that you feel in your body is an acceptable sensation. You don't have to change it, but just by feeling it, just by feeling the sensations throughout your body, you are loving yourself. You are accepting yourself as you are. And that is a nourishing act, to just feel what it's like to have a body and to feel the sensations in your body without any kind of judgment, with the practice of acceptance, that I feel what I feel. The sensations in my body are okay, whether I experience them as pleasant or unpleasant. And as you feel your neck, then go to the back of your head, where your head meets your neck and your vertebrae, and then feel your jaw and your cheeks and your lips, and feel your cheeks and your nose, and notice as you exhale from your nose and inhale again, and feel your eyes and allow your eyes to rest and be relaxed, and your forehead, and go all the way to the very top of your head, and just notice the energy at the very, very top of your head, and imagine a very nourishing, warm, loving energy from the top of your head spread down over, cascading over your entire body. And as you do this, perhaps you have the experience of overall well-being, of feeling good about yourself, of feeling that you are the person you need to be, and you are right, just as you are. And take a moment to bathe in that sensation of feeling good, and a feeling of well-being and healthiness pervades your body. Just take a moment, take 2 or 3 breaths in silence. And now, very gradually, as you listen to my voice, start to open your eyes and come back to the room. And as you do that, you have a feeling of calmness and well-being, a feeling that may last the remainder of this evening, and you will enjoy it thoroughly.
So my brain wasn't empty. I was focusing on myself. Is
Yes.
that meditation?
No, that was a guided meditation.
Okay,
That's
so that's the difference,
that's
right?
a very, very useful practice, and it's a wonderful way, I think, as an introduction to meditation, And that's available through my website for
Yeah.
download. A guided meditation is a great introduction.
I love
And
it.
because it's guided, you then have the opportunity of focusing your mind, concentrating your mind on my voice and the sensations in your body. And that kind of occupies the mind so it gets out of the way.
So
Okay.
hopeful.
Yeah, but a silent
Yeah.
meditation is different. And when I go into silent meditation, I allow my mind to rest. I allow it to go wherever it's going to go. Naturally, if there's a lot of thoughts, they come in, and sometimes it's busy. And despite having meditated for 35 years, there are still some times where my mind is so busy that it doesn't slow down. And some meditations are just sitting with myself and a busy mind. And
Right.
that's okay,
Okay.
because that's accepting ourselves and loving ourselves. But when we talk about, a lot of people use the concept of spending good quality time, say with a partner, where we give our partner complete undivided attention. Meditation is quality time with ourselves.
Right.
We are giving complete and undivided attention to ourselves. And we're doing so whether or not our mind is quiet or busy. We are still acceptable, right? We don't always have to perform a certain way and be just the way we want to be or the way we should be at any particular time. So what I see as a meditation is a bit of a gift. Sometimes a meditation is completely peaceful and still with a quiet mind, and other times the mind stays busy. And some of that is about the stress and the intensity of my days. If I've had an intense and busy day, it's harder for my mind to slow down because, in a lot of ways, our thought patterns have momentum behind them. A mind is a lot like, imagine a large barrel full of water, and the busyness of the day is like a paddle stirring the water. And when you take the paddle out of the water is just not going to stop immediately. The
Right.
water will continue to spin with momentum. And our mind is like that. The faster the pace of our day and the longer amount of time we've been busy means that our mind has more momentum. And so it's going to take longer to slow down, right? So sometimes I'm able to go beyond the mind and sometimes not, but I'm okay. And I can accept that either way. Because when we start putting pressure on ourselves and when we start demanding of the mind certain things, our mind will rebel. And that's what most people notice when they attempt first to practice meditation, is they try to force the mind to be quiet. And our minds are tricky elements. Our mind will rebel. And if we insist that the mind be quiet, it'll chatter on purpose, right?
I think
In,
so.
in the Buddhist tradition,
Yeah. Right.
it's referred to as the monkey mind, right? It jumps all over the place, right? It'll
Yeah.
jump to this and that, and it'll jump to the things that are most upsetting to you or the things that you least want to think
Right.
about, right? Some people even have disturbing thoughts. And so the mind gets attention that way. But when we've practiced the guided meditation for a while and we're ready to start moving in the direction of a silent meditation, it's recommended that we accept a busy mind. And what we're attempting to do is relax the mind by watching it and observing it and staying away from judgment, but letting the mind have its thoughts without that being a problem.
Okay.
We let the mind think and we just watch what thoughts come in and leave. And thoughts naturally form like a train, like a bunch of train cars on the tracks, where we think of one thing that leads us to think of another thing to another thing. And before we're aware of it, we've forgotten that we're intending to meditate. And we've gone off on a train of thoughts. And that's okay. So
That's me.
totally fine.
Yeah,
Totally.
it's totally mine.
Yeah.
Or empty your brain. empty your brain. No, make it go away. No, stop. And I'm
No, we don't fight.
fighting.
We
No,
don't
no,
fight.
I do. I fight. I'm
But
like, no, no, no.
don't
Okay,
do that.
so we don't do that.
Don't do that. No,
No. Go ahead.
it's
See, I've
okay.
learned so much.
It's okay to
Yeah.
be as you are, right? That's what we want to do, is to accept ourselves fully and to arrive at a peaceful place. When the mind is still, it's very, very peaceful. It's intoxicating in its peacefulness and bliss. When I meditate, after many, many years, I've expanded my meditation practice. And so it may take me from 15 minutes to 45 minutes to still my mind. And then
Really?
I may be in a state of meditation for anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. And
Really?
I will be in a state of complete stillness, a state in which I'm beyond the mind, beyond the body, where there's just complete peace, complete pure being. And it's a wonderful state of quietness and peace and bliss.
And for that amount of time,
Mhm.
there's nothing in
Nothing.
your brain?
Beautiful.
Really?
Completely still. It's intoxicating in its amount of love. And so when I
And you
return,
have no image? There's no image? Do you hear
no,
anything? Like, do you hear
no,
water? Do you put yourself in a space?
no,
Wow.
it's stillness.
Wow.
But it's a wonderful stillness. It's delicious.
And how often do you do that?
If I could every day,
Right, but
I
yeah.
do it. I do it most days. I will find sometime most days. Uh, if my schedule allowed, I've been very, very busy lately. So today I managed to get 40 minutes in because it was an empty hour in my schedule. But there have been times where I will meditate for 2 hours each day. I would
Do you
love to.
find morning or evening is better for you if you could choose?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I used to have a practice of every morning for 15 or 20 minutes I would meditate. And that was wonderful. That was a discipline, right?
Sure.
I think discipline can help us in any way that we aspire to educate, to learn, to grow. A practice where we do something regularly with discipline helps us to succeed in our aspirations, right? But in this deep place of peace and stillness, it's incredibly nourishing. And whenever we do this, we bring back with ourselves a little bit more of peace and love. And so over time in our lives, peace and love start to infuse into our every single day, right? And then it feels like we then cooperate with life. And it's a beautiful thing. Very little then unsettles us. We go with the flow, right? We then don't have much in the way of fear or anxiety or uncomfortable, painful emotions, right? They're there, but we don't react a whole lot to them. There's some insulation from us, between us and that, right?
Yeah. Well, it's genuine. You're not, not feeling something. You really are just relaxed about it.
That's right.
You're just relaxed about it and you're just not giving it any energy.
And the more we practice, our awareness expands. We become more aware of ourselves. We become more aware of all that's happening within us. So we're much more regulated and aware of our own capacity and our own limits. So we respect our limits more. But we're also much more capable of focus. And we're much more capable of handling stress and demands. And it supports functioning at a high level, right? It's quite beautiful. But our capacity to love then is also increased, right? We can be patient It increases all different aspects because love shows up in many, many forms, whether it's listening, understanding, patience, kindness, generosity, right? Our capacity for all forms of loving become increased through this. It's a practice of love, right?
Now, Andrew, we talked a little bit earlier that you lead a guided meditation group. So, is this a place where people can go and learn about meditation?
It
Is
is.
it? Yeah.
We actually practice the silent meditation. It's a small group that I've hosted for the past 15 years.
And
And
it's okay if you're new to go.
we don't have unlimited capacity. It's a small space I have. However, um, the viewers are aware of my website, and through the website that they can reach me. If some viewers do have an interest in participating in spiritual discussions and the practice of meditation in the group, I do teach meditation, and I do guide a meditation, as well as host a discussion about spirituality, and for each one of us, the obstacles in our life that prevent us from fully appreciating our deeper nature, our pure being, right? We each are so special and so unique, and we're each deep down made of pure love. Except it's so important that we are able to clear away the pain and the doubt we have about ourselves and our own value that interfere with our ability to access the love that we're really made of. And in our core, it's pure love. That's what we're made of, Veronica.
So you can actually go to helpforpassion.com and you will, as Andrew said, there are some links to some guided meditation exercises like the one that we did here, which is a wonderful way to start. I felt very relaxed and that was much easier for me to do and I enjoyed it and
Right.
so I think that's wonderful. You can also reach out and maybe join his guided meditation group. What
Yeah.
else do you have? What else do you have, Andrew? You still have your podcast,
Yeah.
yep, and your radio show.
Actually, I've limited that at the moment. However, I'm considering starting another podcast, and
Okay.
I don't have added information about that right now, but at some point in the near future, it looks like I will be creating a new podcast. But on my website, there are many examples of the podcast that I've been participating in for the past year. And online, you can find my podcasts on Spotify and TuneIn and I believe Stitcher. They're on there. But also in my therapy practice, I view um, our love relationships as our primary practice of love. And it's through the rigors and demands of trying to love another human being, we are ultimately practicing love and spirituality. I believe our love relationships are like a gymnasium for the heart.
Oh
And
goodness.
I've written books about that as well. On my website, there's a book called Love is Simple, But We Are Not. And that book is a compilation of 13 years of the articles I've written for SOCO Magazine, which is the magazine that many people are familiar with here in the south coast of Massachusetts.
You're very
And
well known.
it's also, very kind,
You
thank you.
are. Yes, you're very well known because of that. Absolutely.
and it's been a very successful 13 years of writing. And
Wow.
I'm challenged each month to come up with a new way to look at love and a new way to look at the challenge of loving, because it is very, very challenging. And love itself is very challenging. It will test us to our core, because that's what we're made of. Love demands that we go beyond all limitations and experience the true nature of our being, which is love itself.
Right.
And then also on my website, there's a online course that I invite the viewers to explore, and it's for those who are struggling to experience the love in love relationships, because we know loving another person is among the hardest things we can do in life. It can be incredibly rigorous to live with somebody who's different than us. That difference can be very, very challenging. And unfortunately, for many of those of us who are in love relationships, we experience the adversity of loving another, and sometimes the pain and the anger of being in a love relationship. So this course, this online course, is called We Just Can't Communicate. And it's for those couples who have struggled to love with limited success and find themselves trapped in a cycle of arguments in which communication has broken down. And this course is a 14-lesson course that'll probably take couples several months to go through. I narrate the course. It's an audio-visual course through all the steps of breaking down what caused couples to get stuck in an ineffective cycle of arguing and communication breakdown, so we can rebuild a positive cycle of love, mutual respect, and understanding, and reestablish a very positive, loving, and even hopefully passionate connection between two romantic partners. So please check that out. That's We Just Can't Communicate, and that's available on the website. It's an online course. And then there's also the book that I wrote for men who are struggling to be adequate and good performing sexual partners. And so it's for them and their romantic partners, because when sexual performance fails, it is a large catastrophe. It is very, very upsetting, and can be very, very upsetting to male partners, but also their romantic and sexual partners. It can be a real relationship crisis. So I've created a book. It's called When Soft is Hard, and that book is on Amazon. And I'd very much enjoy you to purchase that book. And I'd love to hear from you. If you wish to place a review, I'd love to get the feedback on that book. But I'm confident that it can help to take a crisis in your love relationship and help to resolve it, so you two can connect and increase the pleasure instead of the pain that you share between you. Because
We did a show on that, and it was very well watched. We had a lot of views on that show.
that was a wonderful show. And we talked about
Yeah.
a tough issue. And boy, you were brave talking about issues of sex and sexuality.
Yeah. No, but it was well watched, you know? I mean, these are things that people are experiencing and they don't want to talk about. And actually too, you know, getting back to the course that you're offering, We Just Can't Communicate. It's nice to do something like that, because you're not in the office. You're working on something in the privacy of your own home, because not all the time does both parties want to have therapy. It's a
Absolutely.
wonderful option for people. It really,
I
really
think,
is.
and it's a very affordable option. It's far less
Hmm.
expensive than participating in ongoing therapy. And for a lot
Sure.
of couples, I think it's a real cost-effective way for them to start the work of repairing their relationship and doing the heavy lifting, and then coming into therapy already having done some of the work. And it really can be quite cost-effective and time-efficient way to start the process, and then kind of do the fine tuning actually one-on-one, perhaps with me or another marriage counselor or relationship therapist.
And I
right?
think too, it's, I think some people think that they're the only ones going through these situations. And, I think it really helps when people see that these certain things are pretty common in relationships, and
Yeah,
I
these
think that helps
resources are
too,
there. The
Yeah.
resources are available. I created them because so many people are challenged regarding love. I think it's among the hardest things we can do. And when we love another, it will naturally awaken the pain, the limitations, the struggles we have at loving ourselves. And so it's normal and natural that when we love another, we are going to experience adversity and inner pain. And it takes two partners to make a love relationship, and we're naturally imperfect because we are human beings. So when two people come together, we have twice as much imperfection in a love relationship. And so the odds of things going just smoothly are really very low. It's a tough thing, Veronica.
Uh, yeah, and I think too, loving loving the person that is different than you, especially when you have controlling personalities, I feel like that's just, that's a big struggle too, right? Because you want to be with this person who's different than you, but then you want to control them so then they're like you.
That's
That
true.
makes sense.
Uh, it's the likely development of a power struggle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That can be
Yeah,
really.
and then you get upset, right? Because you're like, well, you should just know, or you should, but
Mhm.
you've got somebody that's different,
Right.
because
It's all.
sometimes you're attracted to people that are different from you,
Well,
but
we
then
know, Monica, that opposites attract,
right,
right?
right, but then you want them like you,
And
eventually.
there's a saying. The saying I
Yeah,
have said so many times is
I always chuckle about it. I don't know, I'm
that which
lighthearted about it.
initially attracts us later on repels us.
Yeah,
So the very qualities that we first find attractive in a partner are later on those same qualities that drive us crazy about the partner, right?
exactly. You must have a very interesting job.
It's the best job in the world.
Yeah. Well, because you heal people and you teach them to love.
I
And
teach them to.
on, yes, you teach them to love. Well, sir, on that note, it is our hour. Our hour is up, but it was so good seeing you. And I'm grateful for you. And thank you so much for being on the show every month and helping our viewers and sharing love. And if you would like to learn more, please go to Andrew's website, helpforpassion.com. There are links to everything we talked about today. And I'm going to meditate. I'm going to start.
Very good.
I'm doing it.
Give it a
I'm
try.
doing it.
Give it a
I
try.
will. I'm excited. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been wonderful to be here and to be of service to all the viewers.
All right. Well, we're going to see you next month. We have to pick a topic. I don't have one, so
Yes.
we have to get
Okay.
one. But all right.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, my friend.
Take care.
All
Bye.
right. I'm going to see if we can get you out of here. There we go. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Andrew Aaron talk about spirituality and meditation. We have a really great month ahead. Our next show on Tuesday, June 15th, we have singer-songwriter Grace Morrison. She is going to be back. She's another regular. We love having her on the show. She's promoting her new album, Daughter, which is fabulous, by the way. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. It's really wonderful. And then on the 22nd of June, we have writer, actor, and producer Christy Cashman, and she is going to be here promoting her new novel, The Truth About Horses. And then rounding out the month, we have biohack and cellular specialist, our favorite doctor, Dr. Michael Wild, and he will be with us talking about our cellular health. So thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, it's Tuesday night, it's 7 o'clock, and we are live, and we will see you next week.